Hello and welcome to Mock the Week. I'm Dara O'Brien. Joining this week are Andy Parsons, Sarah Pascoe and James Acaster, Ed Byrne, Hugh Dennis and Gary Delaney. We start with a round called If This Is the Answer, What Is the Question? On the board are 6 categories. Sarah, which category would you like?
I will have world news, please.
OK, world news it is. The answer is 1.6 billion. What is the question?
Is it how many immigrants are so lazy they haven't even bothered to come over here?
Is it what in decibels is Brian Blessed?
Is it when they go back to us, how many drachma will there be to the euro?
For about a week or so.
How many Scottish people now say they voted yes in the referendum?
Is it what was the crucial missing ingredient from England's bid for the 2022 World Cup?
Is it how much are cats owed in YouTube advertising?
Is it when I went on Dragon's Den, how much did I want for a 2% share in my body hoover business?
James, talk numbers. How many? What's your turnover?
Well, Deborah. I haven't really got the numbers in my head. That's what they say, isn't it?
Right, I'm out.
That usually gets...
Is it what is the count in Sesame Street up to now?
We think he's just somewhere in a bar, just still counting. Just tiny Transylvanian puppet in a bar. 1.5.
If you go and use a Glastonbury toilet, is it how many people seem to have used that toilet before you have?
Is it what number, when typed into a calculator and turned upside down, becomes, ooh, GI?
Is it after you've popped, how many Pringles can you eat before you must stop?
Is it, since I started this sentence, how much further has Greece got into debt?
It's to do with Greece, clearly, yes, we're all dancing around. What is 1.6 billion?
This is the amount in euros that Greece is supposed to pay back to the IMF by the 30th of June.
You're absolutely right. Thank you very much, Sarah Pascoe. Well done. Yes. The question I was looking for was how much money in euros does Greece need to repay to the International Monetary Fund by the 30th of June? That's next Tuesday, or risk crashing out of the Eurozone.
But it is a loan, isn't it? What they've got is a loan. I think it might solve itself. Are we certain they haven't got PPI? Wouldn't that be great? Just on the day before they have to pay back, Alexander Tsipras, the Greek Prime Minister, gets a phone call saying, "We have been trying to contact you."
That's the Greek PM. Well, he seems thrilled with that particular development.
He looks so coy. He literally looks like that is the face that people do when you go up to him and go, "Where's my money?" He's like, "Money?"
There's lots of ways of raising money, though, aren't there? I would have thought. They've got lots of stuff.
Yeah.
They could have a big episode of the Antiques Roadshow. They'd raise quite a lot.
They could use plastic plates at weddings. That'd save a lot of money.
And then if they fail, what's the term called for what will happen to them?
Grexit.
Grexit.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
It's a great term, isn't it?
I don't like it being shortened, because I like it when the papers call it a messy Greek exit, because that sounds like a pornography description.
I like when they say the Greeks have been warned of Grexit. Like, you know, Grexit is this thing which is going to emerge from the sea in a kind of with his eyes so red and a scary nose and a horrible waters, horrible toes. The Grexit.
It just also sounds like the door on the way out of a Greggs, doesn't it? That's what confuses me about it. Don't they have that above the door in Greggs?
If you eat yourself to death on pasties, that's a Grexit, I think.
This, by the way, is not Greg's in Athens. This is people going, my money, please.
I've seen queues like that in Leicester Square on a Saturday night.
Gone into a bank, presumably.
I've seen long queues at cash machines just on busy nights.
They might be queuing
for
a bed and a
It means
bath.
nothing. You're playing into the hands of the European Commission and their misinformation.
I don't know what happened there.
You're telling me that essentially all these people are on a night out and they just want a few quid. There are crisis negotiations taking place between the IMF and, well, the troika of different bodies who've lent money to them and to the Greeks, and I think the Greeks will win the negotiation, and I'm willing to go on the line for this, because with only some time to go during the negotiation, with the Greeks going, please, give us a bail us out, bail us out, bail us out, all they need to do, they've got one card that the Greeks can play, which is they can play that music, which means you will eventually, because it just starts like it's just quietly in the background, just slowly, give us some money, no. Give us some money, no. Give us some money, no. And then over time, slowly the pressure builds on this music until eventually it's like, give us some money, no. Give us some money, no. Give us some money, no. And eventually, I believe it gets us faster and faster until, you know, give us some money, 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 go. And don't you have the cash. Take the cash and go. Leave me alone. It's just fine. Really, I just wanted you to spend the rest of the evening going ding, 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 ding.
Could you hear that as well? I was worried there for a second.
So this is all, I find it really confusing when it's like the money and the economics of it. So actually, it does become a lot easier if you convert it to alcohol and think that the ECB is a brewery and the EU is a pub, and all of the countries put their alcohol behind the bar, but we need more drink. But the only way we can make more drink is if we water it down. And Germany won't let us do that, and they're in charge because they make the best drink, which is beer. Greece only have ouzo, which is the worst drink, and we knew they only had ouzo, and we shouldn't have let them join the pub, but we did because we were hammered. Who hasn't let the wrong person in when they were drunk, eh, girls? So, and now, I mean, Greece has passed out, it's too drunk, and Germany's trying to sober them up. And why can't we just kick them out of the bar? Oh, because they've started a tab and not on their cards? Like, we all started a joint account for some reason.
And this is supposed to have simplified things in your head.
I've got the solution. So it's all much neater now. And the solution is we should let Weatherspoons sort it out.
Did they not withdraw €4 billion or something last week, Dave? I mean, it's a real genuine problem.
People taking all the money out,
and then they started hiding the money. Everybody started hiding cash. And they say in secret places in the article I read.
They're hiding their money in frozen chickens. This was the strangest hiding place they had, where they put them in the freezer and they put the money into the chicken.
We shouldn't know about that. But that's what the whole point of hiding is it's a secret.
Yeah.
We live in England and we know where they've hid their money. It should not have got back to me. Can we play the music again?
Oh, I love the music. Yeah, let's hear it. One more time. The middle bit.
Just be so strong again.
Oh, my God, this is so fun. They're going faster than us. They're going too fast.
Table take out combined weight.
Just flip the table over, Jeff. We'll try. We can flip it.
I'm sure the people of Greece will be absolutely delighted.
There is an issue, obviously, of how it's going to affect holidaymakers and British tourists going over. There was a statement there that said that holidaymakers should bring over cash on this specifically, and the statement came from muggers.
Travel agents suggested that people bring cash and credit cards or debit cards. So there's my plan to use magic beans as currency. What did you think we were bringing?
Also, guys, if you're planning a holiday, think about getting a passport.
Yes.
I can imagine if you arrived in Athens Customs and said, do I have a passport? No. But I have money! Making it rain, bitches! Making it rain!
Scrabbling around with their chickens.
I wonder why people are going on holiday to Greece. And people are going, oh, well, it's cheap sunshine. But you're thinking, well, Syria is cheap sunshine, isn't it? I mean, OK, you don't maybe get the level of service there, but just think of the number of people that will be at the UK airport to greet you on your return home.
I mean, it has got fantastic weather, it's got beautiful beaches, it's got fantastic food. And if you are eating out in Greece, my advice would be try the chicken.
I'm sure the people of Greece would be absolutely delighted.
Well, I'm sure they're going, well, the one thing we have is Muck the Week. Oh, for fuck's sake. During this difficult time, the one thing we've always been able to rely on is but now they're doing our dance wrong, incorrectly. Because that music comes on, I still do lobster hands for some random reason. I keep doing this, like it's a pincer dance. Diddly-doo, not getting closer. Uncle Jason and Andy. Now we play a round called Your Grexits Are Here, Here and Here. This game involves James and Gary, so if you could make your way to the performance area, please. This round is a stand-up challenge. I launched the wheel of news, and whoever chooses to stop, one of the performers must step forward and talk about that subject. OK, here we go. The first subject is parties. Who wants to go in that? James.
I went to a surprise party recently for my friend Daryl. We were all in his living room, all of us, in the dark, hiding. His girlfriend turned to us all. She went, right, he's going to be here in a minute. When he gets in, everyone jump out, yell surprise, and that will be really surprising. I argued it'd be a lot more surprising if instead of making all that commotion, we all just stood there in his living room in the dark, just... When he comes in and turns the lights on, see how surprised he is then? It's a good party. I schmoozed. I'm good at schmoozing. Buttering people up. I'll give you some schmoozing tips, why not? A lot of people will tell you when you're schmoozing, have a good icebreaker, right? Break the ice. What they won't tell you, at the end of the conversation, unbreak the ice. You don't want anyone else swooping in, taking advantage of all the lovely little ice cubes that you created. So freeze it over again before you leave. So as you're leaving, just slide something under the fence, like death comes to us all, something like that.
So, Gary is left. Let's see what topic you have, Gary. Let's spin the wheel. And the topic is childhood.
I didn't know what to get my little niece for Christmas, so I asked my sister what she's into. And apparently, at the moment, she's mad about frozen stuff, so I got her some oven chips and peas. And they love that. Every Christmas Day, we'd always have pigs in blankets. Or, as you probably call them, relatives sleeping in the spare room. Winnie the Pooh, possibly the most vindictive chapter in Nelson Mandela's autobiography. It was only after I shot the fifth zombie that I started to wonder why they were all carrying bags of sweets and ringing my doorbell. I've been trying to recapture my lost youth. I really must get that cellar door fixed. One time when I was a kid, I bought a chocolate bar. On the inside of the wrapper, it said, "You're a loser." I wouldn't mind if there'd been some sort of competition on. To make things worse, it was a boost. As a family, we couldn't decide whether to have Nana buried or cremated, so in the end, we let her live. My 13-year-old cousin's already started taking heroin. It's amazing, isn't it? They shoot up so fast these days.
Oh, God. Very good. Point to I'm going to go to Lady. Everyone come back. Our next round is called Picture of the Week. I show the panel a topical image and ask them to tell me what's happening. So what is going on here?
Is he going, do you want to know why I'm called Trump? Pull my finger.
This is taken at Comic-Con, and this is actually a guest appearance by Sloth from the Goonies.
Are you sure he's not just showing how he got the money into the chicken?
Really? Gotta get it up there, right in the You really just gotta get it up there, up there. That's it.
They've asked him, Donald, how many Mexican immigrants is too many?
Is the caption, what's orange, angry and never going to be president?
No, the picture is Donald Trump has announced he's standing for the Republican nomination as president in the election this year.
Did you watch the speech? His magical, glorious, all-welcoming speech?
The people who came really badly out of his speech were Mexicans, weren't
Mexicans
they?
too bad, yeah.
And he's like Nigel Farage. He's really worried about immigration. So his plan, if he becomes president, is he's going to build a 2,000-mile-long wall between the US and Mexico. So he's going to build a great wall to keep people out. And at the same time, his next point was he's not going to be influenced by China.
Who is he going to use to build the wall? I would He said other stupid things. He said that all of the women on The Apprentice were either flirting with him consciously or unconsciously. And genuinely, he said that. And a word of warning, if they're unconscious, they're not flirting. That's an important lesson.
Ultimately, it's going to come down to Bush versus Clinton, isn't it? In a nation that fought a war to rid itself of hereditary rulers.
Jeb speaks fluent English, fluent Spanish, doesn't he? So 2 more than his brother George.
Jeb Bush is quite multicultural for a Republican, though, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He's married to a Mexican, which just goes to show that in America, Mexicans do all the jobs that they don't want to do.
In other news, which iconic building might need to be shut soon?
Well, it's the Houses of Parliament, isn't it?
It is the Houses of
Palace
Parliament,
of
yes.
Westminster. I never know the difference.
I know, the Palace of Westminster was the entire thing, yeah.
So the building needs repairs.
It does need repair.
It's all kind of falling apart and full of mice. It was originally a royal palace. I don't know why I'm telling you all this.
Are we on a tour?
Yes. I know. I used to do tour guides. So
Did you actually work as a tour?
Yeah, for about 4 years.
In there?
No, on London buses. So pointing at stuff.
Oh, you were doing that thing?
Yeah. And Parliament's incredible to talk about. It's Perpendicular Gothic, which was influenced by the... Yeah. Please tell us more, Sarah. This is where we came to watch Mock the Week. So it was influenced by a tiny bit of Westminster Abbey.
There's 8 Japanese tourists who haven't been getting anything else and are now going, oh, pretty good, finally.
When you say it used to be a royal palace,
So
are there
the king used
other
to live
palaces that aren't royal?
Yeah.
Are there?
Crystal Palace?
Yeah. Very good. Very good, yeah.
The Palace Tandoori, that's down near my way. What have they found inside there?
Mice.
It's infested with vermin, or at least that's what the rats say.
With mice, moths and foxes. Foxes are running wild within the palace.
That's not surprising.
Just scavenging members of the Lib Dems who seem to have fallen away from the group. Well, we had 8 when we arrived here, but one has been picked off by the rest of the foxes.
3 billion's worth of repairs that are needed.
The very minimum.
And then there's 56 new SNP MPs who've been celebrating their arses off over the last 2 weeks. So you're thinking, are those 2 things related? 3 billion of repairs and a hell of a party from the Scottish MPs.
You think that the 50 Scottish MPs have done £3 billion worth of damage?
That'd be brilliant if they had, wouldn't it?
And they're back on the train up to Edinburgh with Big Ben under their arm.
Doing little jokes.
I've got Big Ben!
Going up to people. Got the time? You're all right, you're all right.
One of the suggestions, though, is to move the Parliament to Birmingham, isn't it? And David Cameron is all in favour of this because that is the hometown of the West Ham Football Club that he supports.
Has anything seen by the new mascot? Speaking of things that are the new mascot for Partick Thistle Football Club.
It's brilliant.
I've seen a picture of it. Yeah,
it's designed by whom?
David Shrigley.
David Shrigley, contemporary artist, a huge fan of David Shrigley's work, has designed a new mascot for Partick Thistle Football Club. You know, to G the fans along, get them excited, raise the moods. This is the mascot. I love it. There's your nightmares made real, isn't it?
Do you think they could have just put some pupils in the eyes just to give them less of an unseeing cataract?
That I am the face of of eternal evil stare into my void of eyes. And the thing is, because it has to be, it is an important job. Like, not only because, you know, you're geeing the crowd up and you keep them well entertained, but often, and this is one of my favourite things on the internet, people do collections of these, often the mascots will be required, usually because they have forgotten to get off the pitch in time, to stand at the minute's silence if a minute's silence is being held. And there is a fantastic collection of mascots who have had to look sombre or grave or respectful. This is a particular and I like this one. That's the Bradford chicken. Billy Bantam, I think he's called, looking very disappointed with it.
He's upset because some Greeks have just stored money up his bottom.
It's exactly... the next one is, again, very serious. That's Buggy Bird from West Brom. And give me one more. That is the West Ham Hammer, looking respectful, but is unable to change his face, which has a joyous bounty. Oh, I'm a quirky hammer, I'm a jolly hammer. But, you know, there's times for reflection as well. OK, the points get Ed here and Gary! Now we come to scenes we'd like to see. So if everyone can make their way over to the performance area, I'll read out this week's topics, and then we'll see what our panelists can come up with. OK, here we go. The first subject is unlikely film trailers.
A man who only wants one thing. Strepsils.
In his toughest assignment yet, Peter Parker has to pick a peck of pickled peppercorn.
Drama, intrigue, romance, gardening, spoons, all these and other words in Dictionary the movie.
All your favourite administrators are back in Human Resources 2. This time it's personnel.
When a hairpiece gets possessed by the devil, there'll be hell to pay.
He loves sex, but he has no arms. Which position will he choose? Missionary impossible.
If you see one film this year, then you're probably a new parent.
It was a love story that crossed the species barrier. He was a man, she was a cow. Coming soon, Beef Encounter.
Coming soon, a 3D film where you don't get bored halfway through and lift up the glasses just to see what the screen looks like without it.
Every Year I Love You More, starring Michael Jackson and Benjamin Button.
Coming soon, a story of premature ejaculation.
The Grand Budapest Hotel. Brilliant, The Times. 5 stars, The Guardian. The beds weren't made. TripAdvisor.
Part man, part machine, part bird, part drum. It's Robo Bongo Cuckoo Cop. Thank you very much.
A group of Greeks try to get away with their money. Chicken Run.
My Dad Pictures presents. Your man, I know him from something. Anyway, him and a woman. I think she was in ER. Maybe it was House. She was definitely a doctor. Join forces to fight. I know him. He's gone awful old looking, hasn't he?
It's the bromance of the year. Ed and David Miliband star in What the Fuck Was the Point of That, Then?
OK, the next topic is things you wouldn't hear on the radio.
Mime.
I'm sorry for that small pause just at the end of that record there. Only my shit took slightly longer than I expected.
This is Top DJs of the 1970s. Prison radio has never sounded so good.
A hideous car crash has occurred at the end of the A19. It's called Doncaster.
Another shipping forecast issued by the Met Office at 23:43 on Saturday the 8th. It's going to piss it down.
You're listening to BBC Wiltshire because your car radio has lost reception to what you were listening to.
And next up on the Archers, there's an axe murderer on the loose. Not really. Someone has an argument with their housekeeper.
Travel news. A coachload of origami enthusiasts has broken down on the M1, and they're all currently sat on the hard shoulder making paper models of cars. Traffic is described as stationary.
You're listening to Saga Radio. You're listening...
Lidl, Aldi, later Tesco. This concludes the shopping forecast. Get in!
Have you been injured at work? Maybe you should turn the radio off and concentrate properly on what you're doing.
But you're dead. We're all dead. We've all been dead from the beginning. You've been listening to the final ever episode of The Archers.
Next up on Gardener's Question Time, I'll be trying not to laugh like a schoolboy when a woman phones in with a problem about her box hedge.
This is local radio, it's 4 a.m. and no one's listening. Let's play Say Something Racist Roulette.
Due to tomorrow's BBC strike, tomorrow's Today programme will be today's Today programme, but called Yesterday.
Sometimes when you listen to the radio, there's a tune that you can't get out of your head. It sort of plays again and again and again. It sort of gets faster and faster and faster, and finally it comes on.
OK, give that round of applause to James, Sarah and Andy. That's the end of the show. This week's winners are Ed Byrne, Hugh Dennis and Gary Delaney. Commiserations to Andy Parsons, Sarah Pascoe and James Acaster. Thank you for watching. Good night.
With a satirical review of the week's news, Sandy Tolsvig shares her last ever edition of the News Quiz tomorrow evening at 6:30 on Radio 4. On BBC 3 now, kick about fun to be had with Russell Howard replaying sporting good news.
You get points for that, don't you? Like a snooker thing.